Hey Corina, it's been almost 10 years since you've seen either one of us. Last time you saw Michaela, she was nothing more than a little toddler running around wet in her diapers, and granted I've gotten older, but I haven't changed that much. But I kind of figured it would be really neat for you to see how much both of us have changed, but mostly her, since it's been so long, rather than just responding with another email, and pictures just don't quite seem to do it. So I'm going to hand the microphone over to Michaela for a moment and let her say a few things, and then we'll move forward from there and tell you how things have been going for the last almost 10 years. So here she is.
Hi Corina. I was really excited when my dad said that we were going to do a video so you could actually see me and him. And so I know that we haven't really met, but because I was too young to remember, but I'm happy that we're doing the video.
Okay, and Corina, I figure that since Michaela feels a little uncomfortable in front of a camera, she's not used to it. I figured what I do is interview her a little bit, and she can tell us about how things are going and what she's been up to. So first thing I want to talk to you about is, she's in junior high now, and she's an honor roll student. I apologize, the planes by the base here are a little loud, but Michaela is in junior high, and she is an honor roll student. She has an A average across the board, and she's just doing absolutely phenomenal. So, Michaela, why don't you tell Corina about some of the extra things that you do at school there?
Well, I have 2 extra classes that I signed up for. One, German, of course you know that from our emails and when we've been talking. And the other one I've signed up for is band. And I play the oboe, which is a rare instrument for people to play. There are only 2 people in my class that play it, and it's very hard to play, so you just have to get used to it. So.
And then in addition to Michaela having her extracurriculars with playing the oboe and doing German club, she also started karate somewhere around 6 years ago. And she's really come along a long ways from just a little kid who couldn't even tie her belt on when she got started, and now she's at the top of her class. So why don't you tell Corina about your karate?
In karate, I started around when I was 9 years old, and since then I've been having just the fun of my life. And right now I am a junior black belt, which means I'm halfway there, and I hope that when I'm an adult I achieve my red belt, which is Grand Master, meaning you teach the teachers. So I'm having really fun with it.
Okay. And then Michaela now, and as you know, Michaela's mom and I were divorced. Well, Michaela's mom lives out there in California, and Michaela's here with me, year-round. Now, each year I do take her out to California so that she can spend some time with her mom. But overall, she's doing great. Like I said, she's just been an absolute dream child. Dean and I both got lucky with how good she's been. So, and then Corina, I figured, tell you about myself, and Michaela decided that she wanted to interview me and ask me a few questions, kind of like I did with her. So I'll turn the microphone over to her now.
Okay, well, first I think I'd better start with my dad's magazine that he owns. Why don't you tell us about that?
Well, Corina, after we got back here to the States, and you may remember, maybe not, that I came here to Utah because I wanted to come back for the mountain biking that Moab is world famous for. And after I got here, I kind of got hooked on the Jeeping thing, and I own this big Jeep, and we go down to Moab, and we would wheel, and I started writing for some magazines, and eventually, after a few companies asked me if I was interested, I went ahead and started my own online publication. I got away from print, kind of got my education there, but decided to go online. So we have a publication we've been running for 8 years or so, and we've been #1 on Google for the last 6 years, so can't do any better than #1. I'm happy with it. So I'll hand back to Michaela.
And I know he also biked when he was out there, and he decided to do this very hard race, which I think was stupid of him. But why don't you tell us about it?
Well, Corina, as you know, I used to mountain bike race when I lived there in Germany, and I came back to the States and started racing here. But there was always one race that I wanted to do, and that was the 24 Hours of Moab. Well, this last October, at 39 years old, way too old to be mountain bike racing, I finally got the opportunity to do the 24 Hours of Moab. And we were a 5-person team. It was the most brutal race I've ever done. Crashed into trees, fell off my bike, flew off my bike, slammed into rocks, everything imaginable. And it was the most brutal thing I've ever done. But I'll tell you, it was the most fun, and probably the most memorable was on one of my laps when it was out somewhere around 4 a.m. in the morning. I was getting ready to head out, and Michaela was there at the starting line waiting to see me off on my next lap, when I decided I was dressed too warm, so I quickly shed all my outer shell clothing that I was wearing and gave it to her as I jumped on my bike and I took off for my part of the relay. And I was about halfway through the 15 miles of that lap when I was just crashing energy-wise. I just didn't have any energy left. And I reached for my energy pack, and that was right when I remembered that it was in my pocket that I handed to Michaela in my jacket. And so there I am, completely out of energy, just absolutely dying. And as I'm going along, I saw a gel pack on the ground that my bike light kind of reflected off of, and I'm not too proud to say that I stopped in the middle of the race, in the middle of the night, and I picked up that gel pack off the ground and I downed that thing, and it was the best one I ever had. I'll tell you, I'll never forget that. So.
And I also know that there were some solo racers that went out where they do the whole thing themselves. And on the trail, there were these people camped out in the middle of this whole thing. And why don't you tell it about it, since you saw them?
Well, Corina, you would enjoy this, because this was definitely in the spirit of mountain biking in Germany. And there was one race that I was on in Germany where they were handing out beer at the midway point on the course. Well, on the 24 Hours of Moab, somewhere during the middle of the night, this group hiked out some barbecue grills and some coolers and things, a good 7 miles down this trail. And this trail that we were racing on is one of the hardest four-wheel drive trails in all of Moab, but they somehow got their gear out there. So as I'm going down the trail, and it's somewhere in the night hours, I'm going along and I'm hearing this little noise, and I'm thinking that I broke a spoke on my bicycle. And I'm trying to figure out where this broken spoke is while riding in the dark, can't see and can't seem to find it. And a little while as I'm going down the road, or excuse me, down the trail, I realize that it's not a spoke I'm hearing, but that I'm hearing some cowbells. And as I get closer to the cowbells, I'm hearing more and more of them. Well, along the way, this group had put up some signs, just one word at a time. And as you went down the trail, it said free brats for solo riders and free beer. So if you were one of the race groups where you were just racing the entire 24 hours by yourself, they had beer and brats on the trail for all of the solo racers. So it just kind of made me think of Germany, both the food and just that whole spirit, of racing with the beer being out on the trail after I did the one mountain bike race where they had beer halfway through. So, well, I think that about wraps it up for Michaela and I on this particular video. And we plan to do some more in the future, just because it's a little bit more personal than sending out an email. So I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to send us emails. I don't know if you feel like putting yourself in front of a video camera or not, but until we talk to you next time, we'll say goodbye. So from America, Auf Wiedersehen.